Go God, go God, hey go God, go God, hey go God. Love. Hey y'all, I'm about to do a story time on the time that I accidentally overdosed on some freaking edibles. Yep, sure did. All right, story time. Now, give you a little backstory real quick. My daughter, my youngest daughter, she had a baby in December of 2021. So she had the baby in Charlotte at the time. We was living here in Charlotte at the time. So she decided to move back to Lynchburg, Virginia, which that's our hometown, with her boyfriend. So they got an apartment. So I knew she needed help. So I moved there with her just to help her out for a year. So at that time, like I said, it was December. So roll around to March when it happened. Now, her boyfriend just came back from DC on a trip, a boys trip. So usually, okay, where he work at is like a warehouse type thing. So he always bringing snacks and, just different stuff like that home. So this particular time, now what I was doing, I was taking pictures of all the inventory that came, for my business and stuff. So I was doing that all morning. So it was around like 12-ish. I seen these edibles right here. But just remind y'all, this right here, it was showing just like this. Now, you see, I didn't read all this right here, I just seen the crunch berries and the Captain Crunch. I just seen that. But this is what it actually is, and it says the milligrams, whatever, right there. So anyway, so it was facing this way. So I said, ooh. I said, Deal. Well, I call him Deal. His name is Dylan, but I call him Deal. Some good snacks on this time, So I got a little excited. And then, I was hungry. And I really don't eat breakfast. So anyway, so after I finished taking the pictures, now it's time for me to go edit. So I grabbed my iPad and went in my room. And I'm like, dang, I still didn't get nothing to eat. So like I told you, it's 12 o'clock, right? So now it's time for my church to come online. So I went in my room and cut the TV on, cut the church on, and, was on the iPad. So I said, ooh. I forgot he had them little snacks, right? So I said, let me just go ahead and just grab some, And I'm like, well, he ain't gonna miss them. He ain't gonna miss them. I said, let me just grab those, and then I could just eat on that until after I'm done watching my church and also editing. And I could just cook me something then. So fast forward on. Sit down. I didn't ate the whole bag. Not a little bit, not a couple. I ate the whole bag. And then remind y'all, these things look just like Captain Crunch. Just like them. And it tastes just like them too. And see, look, I'm not a weed smoker, nothing like that. But it just tastes like Captain Crunch to me. So, I didn't think nothing of it. I done finished eating them and everything. I'm editing, so I got my iPad pencil. Well, I have to use my hands. I talk with my hands. So as I was editing the pictures on my iPad, I had the pencil in his hand. So the iPad, so I'm just dabbling and doodling and editing and all that stuff. So next thing I know, the pencil dropped. Like, what the world? So I still didn't think none of it. So then, after that, I got the pencil up. Then stuff started to get a little blurry. So I'm like, no, now I know I ain't tripping. And I said, dang. Now I know I need my glasses. And then I know I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? But I know I ain't that hungry. So anyway, so then my head started do like that and the pencil dropped again. So I said, no, something is going on. Now I know I didn't take my medicine too, so I got high blood pressure. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I'm like, now I didn't take my medicine. So I'm like, but it usually don't do me like that. So I'm good. So I'm like, no, something wrong. So as I was getting up to go tell my daughter, I fell back down on the bed. So I was like, oh no, something wrong for real. So after that, so I called my daughter in there and I said, Naya, something wrong. Something is wrong. I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. So she said, well, Mom, did you take your medicine today? And I was like, no, but it don't do me like that. So then she said, well, did you eat? I was like, well, I ate these little, so I grabbed the thing. I said, well, I ate these little things right here that Dia brought home from work. I said, I ate these little things right here. And she said, what? She said, no, Mom, don't tell me you ate the whole bag. She said, let me see that. So I gave it to her, so she looked. So then she said, Mom, don't tell me you didn't ate the whole bag. I said, girl, yeah, I ate the whole bag. Sure, I was hungry. So then she said, Mom, these are edibles. I said, the devil is a lie. So then she said, no. She said, no, Mom. She said, no, these are edibles. She said, no, Dia brought these home, whatever. So anyway, I ain't telling them boys business because they ain't none of y'all business. Stay out of it. So anyway, so I got to panicking. Now, anybody know me, know I'm dramatic. And I get to panicking. So anyway, so I got to panic. I said, no, no. I said, no, no. I said, no, don't tell me now. So then she said, so anyway, y'all thought. And so anyway, so then she called Dio on the phone because remind you, I told you he had went to work. So she called him and was like, Mom wanted to sit there and ate the whole thing, told him what happened and stuff like that. So then he said, well, tell her to lay down and go to sleep and sleep it off because everybody know I don't smoke weed. So I never had. So, So I laid down. I took the advice, laid down, and went to sleep. So remind you, this is like a little after 12 now. This is a little after 12. So I lay down, went to sleep. So Naya came in to check on me. So she was like, Mom, she was like, you doing okay? And by this time, I couldn't even get up. Y'all, I was hallucinating and everything. I couldn't get up. And I was like, no, nah. I was crying. Y'all, I was crying. I said, no, nah. I said, I think something wrong with me now. I said, I think something wrong with me now. So she laughing. So this whole time, no, for real, y'all, this whole time, I'm really crying. And then I'm telling her something was wrong with me. And I tell y'all, I kid y'all not, something in my spirit kept singing, something is wrong, something is wrong. Go to the emergency room, something is wrong, something is wrong. Next time I'm going to listen to the Holy Spirit. But anyway, so she said, no, Mom. She said, just lay down and sleep it off. Because you know what I'm saying? She said, you ain't never been high before. You ain't never smoked weed before. So that's how I do you. That's how I do you. So anyway, so then I'm like, oh, okay. So I went back to sleep. So this whole time, I'm telling you, I was in and out. And then I was hallucinated and seeing stuff, all this type mess. Crazy. So she came back in there again and check on me. So I said, Naya, I'm getting sick to my stomach. So I was like, Naya, just take me to the emergency room. Just call the ambulance, just call 911 and stuff like that. That's what I was telling her. So she was like, no, Mom. She was like, you all right? She was like, you just too high, you just need to sleep it off. So she was like, you probably just need some food in you too. So she had went to, where did she go? She had went to Wendy's. She had went to Wendy's, got me something to eat. To me, a couple of fries. So I ate one fry. That was it. So I tried to eat another fry. I couldn't do it. I said, Naya, you got to help me up. I said, because it felt like I'm about to throw up. So, all right, so after that, she had helped me up out the bed. So I'm walking and she holding me. It's like I couldn't get it together at all. I couldn't walk by myself. I was just so dizzy and everything, just out of it. So I was holding on to the wall, going on to the bathroom. So when we got in there, she was like, she said, Mom, she said, if you need any help, just call me and let me know. I'm like, okay. So she shut the door. So I'm sitting down on the toilet. So remind y'all, I know this might be TMI, but hey, we all do it. So anyway, so now as I sat down, it just felt like it was about to come out of both ends. So I said, well, let me just get the trash can, close to me just in case. So I reached over there. The trash can is not that far at all, so I don't have to bend all the way over like that to reach the trash can. So when I was reaching over just a little bit to get the trash can, next thing I know, I looked down, and I can say I had burgundy jogging pants on. So that's the last thing I saw was my burgundy jogging pants, and I was about to, vomit in my jogging pants. So that's the only thing I remember at that point. So when I woke up, now this one it get good. So the only thing I remember is my daughter screaming my name. She was just screaming at the top of her lungs, screaming, screaming. And I just kept feeling the door do me like this. So that's what I was doing the whole time. So I'm looking like, how the freak I get on the floor? And, as I was trying to get up, I was just in my, in my vomit. My whole face was like in my vomit. So anyway, so she was saying, Mom, move out the way so I can get in. So anyway, so I try to move a little bit. So she kept saying, move your head, move your head. So I kept trying to move my head so she could come in and help me up. So anyway, she came in, she helped me up and stuff. So by this time, I'm leaning over the sink. So okay, remind y'all, I'm still out of it. And I'm out of it. See, this was my daughter saying. So let me just tell you my story. Then I'm gonna tell you what my daughter was telling me, and then what God had showed me the whole time. Okay, so I remember waking up just a little bit. I was leaning over the bathroom sink, and then I vomited again. So she was trying to help me and stuff like that. So what she did, she called my other daughter, which my other daughter was in Charlotte. So she called her and was like, she crying and crying, and then she was like, what I supposed to do? What I supposed to do? So, my other daughter Shamari told her to, take me to the emergency room and stuff like that. So anyway, remind you, Bryson was just like a couple months old. So she said, Mark, come in here. I'm gonna get you dressed and stuff and get you ready so I can take you to the emergency room. So remind you, I'm not responding. I'm not saying nothing. I'm out of it. So I'm going in and out, in and out, in and out. By this time, okay, I don't remember nothing after that. So the next thing I remember is being in the emergency room, sitting in the wheelchair. I remember that. And I remember that winch. Let me tell y'all, because I remember that daggone that nurse. I wish I could find that doggone nurse so I could smack. I ain't gonna smack her, Lord, forgive me. I'm not gonna smack her. But no, let me tell you what she did, y'all. So I do remember that. So, all right, backtrack. So when I got up, my daughter, she crying. The only thing she said is, Mom, oh my God, you got a big knot on your head. You got a big knot on your head. You got a big knot on your head. That's what she kept saying. And I remember that. Then I went back out again and stuff like that. All right. So fast track back to why I wanted to smack that nurse up in the emergency room. So you know how they call you back and check stuff and they ask them what happened. So my daughter was telling her, I guess, you know. So next thing I know, I feel this nurse, she come over and was doing like this on my knot. Now, big as that freaking knot is, I know you seen that doggone knot. Now you know that doggone knot hurt because it just happened. So why you doing all this pushing on it and all that stuff? I wanted to smack her, but I was in and out of consciousness. So anyway, so anyway, so after that, I don't remember nothing else after that. And then I woke up again. I remember being in the waiting room, and my daughter had to go get her son. So let me see. I told her just leave me there. Then when they call my name, I just go up and stuff like that. So I just remember this young lady, she was in there. She helped me to the bathroom and that was it. Now I remember, so let me tell y'all. Now, as I'm sitting in the waiting room in the wheelchair, I kept going in and out, in and out. So this whole time I'm asking God, like, what has happened? You know? So he was showing me what happened, you know. So as I was saying, he was showing me bits and pieces. You get what I'm saying? So bits and pieces start coming back to me and stuff. So now, what he showed me then when I was in the emergency room, he was showing me looking, standing over top of myself, looking down at me on the floor. And let me tell you, now, remind you, my daughter didn't tell me the story, her side of the story, until the next day. So God was showing me myself standing. I was standing on top of myself, looking down at myself, and what I was doing, I was vomiting, and then I was just a shaking, just a shaking, just a shaking, and that's all I seen. And then, it was just clear as day. So now, then after that, it just got dark all of a sudden. It just got dark all of a sudden. So then it just seemed like I was just in this big dark room, right? And mm, okay, okay, okay. So get it together, nigga, get it together. So it was a dark room, and I could see I was just this small. It just seemed like I was this small, and this huge, huge hand. It just had me like this. And then he said, "It's not your time yet. It's not your time yet." So what he was doing was leading me back to my daughter's voice, and that's what I seen. And then I just seen just a little light, going back into the light. That was it. So oh, okay, okay. So after that, and then that's when I woke up. So that's what God showed me. That's what happened. So I was in the in between. I died. I was in the in between, but He told me it wasn't my time yet. So after that, they took me back there, did X-rays on my head and all that, and brought me back. So I was still there, whew, 7 hours, and they still didn't call me back. So my daughter was like, I said, just come get me. Just come get me. I don't want to be here no more. Just come get me. So she came and got me, and then I went on home. So the next day, the people from the emergency room, I don't know who or whatever, they called and they said, "We see that you didn't stay to be seen and stuff like that, and your results came back from the X-rays and stuff. That so whatever they took, whatever." And it was like, "You got a concussion, so what you have to do is just take it easy, just all that stuff." So I was like, okay. So by that time, I'm telling y'all, I was out of it for several days. Yep. I was still out of it for like several days, and it felt like, how you go under anesthesia and stuff, and how that feel. That's how I felt for several days. And it's still unbelievable what happened to me. I guess it's still a shock to me, and I don't talk about it. So I asked my daughter the next day. I'm like, what happened? What you see? Because when God had showed me that, I'm asking her, like, what happened? So she was like, well, I heard a big thump. She said, I heard a big thump. And she said, I ran in there, and she said, I kept trying to get in there to you. I kept trying to get in there to you. She said, that I seen was, the only thing I seen was your legs moving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. She said, I couldn't get to you. She said, and I was calling you I was calling you for like 10, 11, 12 minutes. Mom, she said, I was screaming your name, screaming your name, screaming your name. She said, you didn't respond to me at all. You didn't respond to me at all. So she was like, I didn't know what to do, you know. So remind you, as she telling me, she's screaming my name. And I told y'all what God has showed me, you know. So he was walking me back to Naya calling me. He was walking me back to her, you know. So that's what she told me. Then she was like, you were just out of it. She said, when you got up, she was like, I told you, you know, you had a big knot on your head and stuff like that. She said, next thing I know, you vomiting again. She was like, you were just out of it. I got you dressed and everything. Then she was like, then we rode and took Bryson to his other grandmother's house and stuff. And I'm like, what? And I was like, I don't remember none of that. I don't remember her getting me dressed. I don't remember going taking Bryson to his nonna's house. And I don't even remember, you know, getting checked in at you know, at the emergency room. I didn't remember any of that. So like I told y'all, I was in and out, in and out. So then, you know, I knew it was very scary for my daughter to experience something like that. And then, you know, with my other daughter, Shamar, believe me, both of my children are very, very spoiled, you know. And that really broke Shamar and that really hurt her because she couldn't be, you know, here with me and stuff. And yeah. So after that, like I told you, just it took a couple days, you know, for me to get that out my system. I was drinking a lot of milk and just yeah. I don't think well my mom when I called and told my mom, she thought I was playing. Why would I joke about something like that? So anyway, so I called and told my mom. So she told whoever she told. And I just know several people that, you know, that she told, but you know, did nobody call to check up on me. I'm saying the ones that knew and my family. If one know, all know. Yep. Only one person, my cousin, she called. Well, she didn't actually call. She texted me and see was I okay and stuff like that. So, and I really do appreciate that. You know, she was the only one that texted me to see if I was okay. Ooh, you know, just having a big family and then it just seemed like with something like that, people would be there for you and stuff. But yeah, but it's okay. You know, they won't nobody there for me when I had my car accident, bad car accident. You know what I'm saying? They check up on me and see how that was. So I knew won't nobody going. You know. But sometimes it's just good to for people to be there. You know what I'm saying? And you experience something like that. Ooh, you know, I died and God brought me back to life. You know I got greatness in me. You know, I mean, I've been through hell all my life, y'all. So a lot of stories coming. Believe me, a lot of stories coming. A lot of stories coming. So stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. Because I don't look like what I've been through, baby. Believe that. Don't look like what I've been through. But all right, let me see if I missed anything. Nope. Nope, I don't think so. If I did, I'll just, you know, do another video.